tell you a story, a true story. All my stories are true. This boy was off the derech, and he was a brilliant boy, top yeshiva student in elementary school. And he blamed his parents very, very much that when I was in elementary school, that you didn't buy me expensive sneakers. And this is a very, very simple people, and they shop at a store, maybe you never heard of it, a very chashuv, a store called Payless. Payless. I don't know if you could check, if you could tell from the name, I don't know if you could figure out that you will be paying less, but it's not just a store that you pay less, it's so much that you pay less that they actually named the store Payless. That's how much you're going to pay less. So they pay like $12, $18, $16 for sneakers, and he wanted Nike, buy one, yeah. And he wanted like Nikes for like $100. This is going back a long time ago. And they did chinuch, this is not the way we do things here. It worked on all the other 70 kids, and we're not changing just for you. What do you know about a kid in third grade, fourth grade, second grade? You have to teach him not to want the Nike things. Don't be with that chevra, and right. So it's a long story, but the bottom line is that before he got married, he was driving with his father in the car, and a man with a beard walked in front of the car. And he told his father, if that would be my Rebbe, I would run him over. Now, we're all trained here. They were TP trained, so we understand what that means. So the father understood what he's telling him, but he put his arm around his son and he said, what happened? So he said that this Rebbe used to molest him during recess in third grade. So what happened was this kid who was just not athletic, he thought if he would have Nike sneakers, he'd be able to jump better, he'd be able to run better, right? And because he didn't, nobody wanted to play with him, and that's why he was available, and that's why this Rebbe would molest him during recess. So for 20 years, the parents are saying, what do you need Nike sneakers for? What do you need Nike sneakers? What's so? And imagine what it did to the kid. He couldn't tell. He was threatened. He couldn't say it. All he could do to save himself was, can you get me Nike sneakers? And so sometimes the damage is that we didn't hear them. Yan lo hamantem bi. We didn't hear them. Now, on the other hand, it's really not our fault because we're not supposed to just give them whatever they want, and it's impossible to know when it's real and when it's not. I'm not blaming the parents. I'm just saying from the imagine this child in second or third grade or whatever age that's so trapped and is calling out, save me, in the only way that he could figure out how to do it, and the parents are like worried about money. We only spend $30, not $70. It's like, so there's a lot of agmas nefesh, a lot of pain, and a lot of ripping out the trust, and a lot of, so they had to pull out the knife. So they bought the most expensive sneakers, $300, $400, and they wrote such a beautiful letter, and we're so sorry. We didn't know, we should have listened to you. We're so sorry, because there's nothing you can say. They wrecked his life, but they didn't know it, and they're not bad people, and they didn't do anything wrong, but they were feeding him into the monster. And there are parents who do more than that. The kid says, I don't want to go to school, and we force them on the bus, and that's our job, get them on the bus. But what if they're being molested on the bus? To that kid, you brought me to the guy or to the person or to whatever. I said, I don't want to go to camp. I said, I don't. Sometimes they say stuff, and as parents, we cannot listen to them. And why Hashem does this, we will never understand. But from the perspective of the child, of course he doesn't trust adults. Of course he doesn't trust mommy and tati. And especially if we didn't do it, or if we pushed them or pressured them in the name of Torah, then they hate anything that's used as a baseball bat to hurt them. So there's a lot of trust issues. So it could be that aside from the fact that he feels that by this in this case was sneakers, in your case it's whatever it is, that's your fault that you made me go to that camp, or it's your fault that I wanted to go to this school, or I wanted to do that. Aside from the fact that maybe there was a reason why he wanted to switch schools, or he wanted that he was trying to save himself, aside from that you didn't listen to him, it could be that this is part of his story. I say it's not history, it's his story of how he became so dysfunctional and in so much pain, and that part of it was this nakuda. So it's not just because he's thinking, if I would have been there, then I would have had a better summer, and then I wouldn't. It could be that it's a lot deeper. We don't know. It'll take time. The important part is really to be like you. You're being humble. You're being open. You know the sprach. You're not judging. You're not taking the bait on responding the way you would to a normal person. When you go to the psych ward, you can't respond to the people there like they're normal. This guy was was arguing with someone in terrible pain. He was having an argument with him. I said, the only thing crazier than being a crazy person is being a normal person arguing with a crazy person. This person is in crazy pain, right? If you see a homeless guy in the street, you're going to argue with him? You see your kids, you're going to argue with him? He's saying, you did this and this wrong, instead of defending it, and it's really hard. Like I said before, the hardest thing is when you're right, or at least you're not wrong, to not defend yourself. And to a normal person, you could have a normal discussion. I'm sorry, but you're blaming me for something that I didn't do wrong. That's a normal relationship. But when someone is not normal because of trauma and pain and lack of trust and all of this terrible life that he's had and that he has, and needs a real refuah shalema, that's a whole different language. So we said before, I just want to repeat it again. Chavetz Chaim was able to speak freely because he mastered Shmiras HaLashon. I'm not asking you to control your speech. I'm asking you to use a different language. That's it. Once you're using a different language, it's different. And we have a different language when you talk to a 7-year-old. We have a different language when you talk to somebody who's struggling. That's all. And then with one switch inside, you'll already know what to do. And also, we learn time of Devar every week, and we work on compassion and understanding, not being judgmental. This father called me up. He had such questions that he had. He's a good father. And both questions, I said, have one answer. You're not getting it. You're not understanding your kid. And came out the story about this famous guy that hurt children, and they tried to have a discussion about it, and this kid was being crazy, and he said, why is he getting so crazy? It's benafshay. This is his story. He said, don't argue with him. Then they were discussing weed, if it should be legal or not be legal, and he went crazy on his father. I said, these are very sensitive topics to your child. If you see they're getting upset, they're getting angry, don't say calm down. To change the subject and learn for next time. We don't discuss these things. We don't discuss molesters. We don't discuss safety. We don't discuss, I'm talking about, of course we should discuss safety with our children, different stuff. I'm talking about with a kip. We don't discuss things that get them really angry and heated and make them think that, boy, we really don't understand them. This guy said to his kid, why should we get rid of this guy's books? What does the books have to do with it? Okay, you spend a few hours understanding trauma or just shut up and just don't say anything. But you don't go to a kid who's molested and say that a molester's books are going to be in our bookshelf. Like, you don't got to be a brain surgeon to have a little sensitivity. This is their Holocaust that they're going through that destroyed their life by somebody in power who molested them, and you're going to have a molester. And you say, what's the shaykhis? Okay, to someone who's not in the sugi, who's not in the parsha, who was not molested, you want to have an intellectual discussion, you can, but not with somebody who's hurting. And he was arguing with him about weed and stuff. I said, first of all, don't argue. You know why? In these subjects, he's right. Second of all, there's no arguing. You could say to him, this is so interesting, teach me. Why? And then you could ask, instead of arguing, instead of saying, I don't think so, say, I'm just curious, why? You know so much about this. Why do you think weed is better than medication? Let him teach you. chances are he's right. But even if he's wrong, don't argue. Don't argue. You took a terrible situation and you de-escalated it beautifully. You really did. And it feels in the beginning like I'm walking on eggshells. It's just reminding, different language. Calm, calm, talk low and slow. Don't rush, don't talk loud. I had a father here who was very, I don't know how to describe him in group. He used to sit in that corner. I don't know how to describe him. He was he had a, I don't want to say he was a big ego. He's a very chashuv person, a macher. I don't know. It was just like a big personality. I felt intimidated by him from 20 feet away. You know, his kid felt shriveled up, and I realized that he's too quick. It's like even if the kid says, "Okay, maybe we'll go somewhere." Okay, no problem. I got the driver. I'm calling the guy. We're going bad, and the kid was like, it was like too fast. I told him, develop a stutter. Emes lamitai. So when you're around this kid, stutter. He's saying, you know, you want to go out tonight? He says, yeah, I want to go out. Okay, all right. Maybe bowling. Should we go? You think we should go bowling? What do you think? Just slow it down. Just slow it down. You notice kids, when you take 3 things, 4 things in a row, they get overwhelmed. Do this, and then we're going to do this. Overwhelmed. That's what happens inside. And then they curse, they get angry, and then the regular people who are not trained say, bad midos, what are you getting angry for? Well, can you imagine we were once like that? What are you getting angry for? You're stepping on my toe. But I'm not stepping on your toe. You see, I wish I could defend them. I wish I could be there in that house when the parents say, why are you getting so offended? And I would defend. I want to explain. You're now stepping on her neck. Your foot is on her neck, and you're going, and she's screaming out because you're causing her so much pain that she wants to stick a needle in her arm. But what did I say? All I said was, you know, the girls outside, they dress like shiksas. Of course they're going to get raped. People will say that. And you want to have a discussion with someone who didn't go through trauma? You could have that discussion. Go to someone else, but not to them. Not to them. Don't blame them. Don't do. And just don't talk about these things. Don't talk about these things.